Picture yourself as the top rookie in the WNBA, setting new records and spearheading a remarkable turnaround for your team. Yet, despite your outstanding performance, one of the greatest WNBA legends discusses your team's success and completely overlooks your contributions. It seems unimaginable, but this is exactly what happened with Caitlin Clark. Sheryl Swoopes, during a recent podcast, spoke at length about the Indiana Fever, but failed to acknowledge Clark's pivotal role in their success.
I also think one of the biggest differences for this Indiana Fever team, they're finally playing through Aaliyah Boston.
It looks great.
And they're playing through Aaliyah. Aaliyah is doing what Aaliyah does. She's also making the right reads, kicking the ball out when she needs to. Nalissa and Aaliyah together are playing well. And they're doing this right now without Fag Binley.
I know.
Because I love her game. I love Fag Binley's game. Yeah,
Especially
Kelsey
for that second
Mitchell
unit.
has found her stroke. And, you know, I'm going to say shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Watch her in AU. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle and just couldn't miss.
Did you notice something missing in that commentary? Or perhaps I should say someone?
Huh?
That's right. In her entire discussion about the Fever's remarkable season, Swoopes somehow overlooked mentioning Clark. Now, I don't know about you, but when discussing a team that's experienced such a significant turnaround, I would naturally highlight the player who's leading the league in assists and has essentially become the face of the franchise. But that's just me. The absence of any mention of Clark is glaring, especially considering her profound impact, not just on the Fever, but on the entire WNBA. We're talking about sold-out games, soaring TV ratings, and a level of excitement around the league that we haven't witnessed in years. What's even more intriguing is that while Swoopes remains silent, other WNBA legends are giving Clark the recognition she deserves. Have you noticed the difference? Bird is open and clear in her comments about Clark. She openly says that under Clark's leadership, the team has become very strong. So strong that, as Bird says, no one wants to face them in the playoffs. But let's look closer.
And now we're just going to go to my quick little segment of which teams would I not want to see in the playoffs. And that's where you brought up the Fever. I think what I've learned in my WNBA experience is pace of play trumps physicality, it trumps size, it can trump experience, because a lot of times when you're experienced, it's really like code word for your veteran, which is code word for your old.
Slow the pace.
Yeah. 2018 and 2020, the years we won, that was our whole mantra, was pace, 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 pace. And what I see in Caitlin, what I see in Kelsey Mitchell, they're just like ramming it down people's throats. And it's really hard. It can have your head spinning. Mitchell's balling, Caitlin continuing to impress, and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant. The only thing that I find most interesting is at the start of the season, everybody had their panties in a twist over Caitlin getting picked up full court and Caitlin being denied. And I think what I'm not surprised by is naturally during a WNBA season, teams and players, you start to get a little tired. You're kind of in like the doldrums of the every day or every other day is a game. And it's hard to keep that discipline to guard a player like that. So I'm not surprised it dropped off. But what do you know? She's no longer getting picked up full court in the ways that we like teased Ari McDonald for when she did it after a free throw when she still had another free throw. But what you're seeing is Caitlin now is able to push the ball up the floor. She's able to hit those get-ahead passes. Yeah. And so I won't be surprised if as the season gets later into like playoff runs, if you start to see teams do more, and you're definitely going to see it in the playoffs. Yeah. But everybody, that's why you had to pick Caitlin up full court. Yeah. This is why. The numbers she's putting up now, like this is why.
And now she broke the record.
Yeah, everyone was like mad about it. I was like, I don't get it. That would be like, I don't even know what it would be like. It'd be like letting Kevin Durant shoot pull-ups all day. It's like, no.
Can't do it, y'all.
Yeah, I just, yeah.
She's
I don't
also
know why
like
I
figuring it out and settling in.
She's definitely figuring it out.
Got a little rest.
Oh, another thing, by the way, I never thought Caitlin wasn't strong. That was actually something I noticed in college. Like she had a strength about her. Will she get stronger and will that help her? Yeah. I think it was more just getting used to the hits and the physicality and like what refs are going to call, what they're not going to call. And you've seen her adjust in that way too. Like she got blocked pretty bad by Ezzy, took a little bit of a splat. And like, yeah, I'm sure she was a little pissed, but she kind of got up, took the lick and got back.
Yeah.
You know, whereas earlier in the season, I think it would have impacted her a little bit more. So
Just get used to
she's
it.
definitely getting used to it, which is, you know, trouble for everybody else. That's why I don't want
Why is there such a big difference between what Swoopes and Bird think? Is it just a different opinion, or is something else going on? Some might think that Swoopes not talking about Clark is a planned move. In sports media, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. By not mentioning Clark, Swoopes might have accidentally brought even more attention to her. What makes this situation even more interesting is that while all this talk is happening off the court, Clark is letting her game do the talking on the court, and it's saying a lot. Just this week, Clark was named Player of the Week. She averaged 26 points and 9.2 assists while leading the Fever to a 2-0 start after the break. She's also leading the whole league in assists as a rookie. That's impressive. These performances make Swoopes' silence even more curious. How can you talk about a team's success without mentioning the player who is at the center of it all? The most important part of this situation is how it's affecting the WNBA as a whole. Clark's impact goes beyond just numbers. She's bringing new fans to the league, filling arenas and creating excitement that the WNBA hasn't seen in years. This is something that can't be ignored, no matter how much some might try. Now let's look at the bigger picture. While the situation between Swoopes and Clark is interesting, it's only a small part of a much larger story happening in the WNBA this season. Remember when we thought the Rookie of the Year race would be close between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese? It looks like that race might be almost over. Don't get me wrong, Angel Reese is an amazing player with a bright future. But here's the thing, individual talent can only do so much when your team is struggling. And that's what's happening with the Chicago Sky. The Sky are having a tough season. They're barely holding on to the last playoff spot, and it's looking more likely that they might miss the playoffs. This isn't a criticism of Reese. She's putting up good numbers, especially in offensive rebounds. But overall, it's hard to argue for Rookie of the Year when your team is at the bottom of the standings. On the other hand, Clark isn't just putting up great numbers herself. She's making her whole team better. The Fever, who used to be the team everyone beat, are now in playoff contention. They're playing exciting basketball, drawing crowds, and becoming must-see TV. And at the center of it all, Caitlin Clark. The difference in how the teams are doing will probably decide who wins Rookie of the Year. It's not just about who has the best stats, but who's making the biggest impact on their team and the league. So what does all of this mean for the WNBA? Because we're not just seeing a great rookie season, we might be seeing the start of a new era in women's basketball. First, let's talk about the upcoming game that has everyone excited. The game between the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky next week isn't just another game. It's shaping up to be one of the most anticipated games in recent WNBA history. Why? Well, it's not just because of the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese matchup, although that's part of it. This game is about more than just these two players. On one side, you have Clark and the Fever, the underdog story of the season, fighting for a playoff spot. On the other side, you have Reese and the Sky, a team trying to hold on to that last playoff spot. The stakes of this game go beyond the standings. It's a showcase of the WNBA's future, with two of its most promising stars facing off. The excitement around this game is like nothing we've seen before, and is likely to draw attention from people who don't usually watch the WNBA. But let's step back and think about the bigger picture. The impact of Caitlin Clark isn't just about one player or one season. It could be changing the entire WNBA. For one thing, Clark's growing popularity is bringing new fans to the game. These new fans aren't just watching casually, they're getting invested in the stories, the teams, and the players. This increase in fans could lead to more money for the league, which could mean better pay for players, better facilities, and more resources for marketing and development. Also, Clark's success is inspiring the next generation of players. Young girls watching Clark play are seeing what's possible in women's basketball. This could lead to a new wave of talent in the coming years, making the WNBA even better. However, all the attention on Clark has also started important conversations about fairness in the league. People are asking questions about how the league markets its players, how they promote stars, and how the WNBA can make sure that all of its players, not just the most popular ones, get the recognition they deserve. And then there are the veteran players. While some have welcomed Clark's impact, others seem unsure. This tension between the older players and the new stars is something the league will need to handle carefully. As we look ahead, one thing is clear. The WNBA is at an important turning point. The decisions made now, how the league is promoted, how all players are supported, and how this new attention is used, will shape the future of women's basketball for years to come. And at the center of this important moment, a rookie from Iowa who isn't just playing the game, but changing it. Whether you love her or don't, Caitlin Clark is someone you can't ignore. She isn't just the story of this WNBA season, she could very well be the future of the league. Now, you might be asking, why should I care about all this? Well, let me tell you, what's happening in the WNBA right now isn't just about basketball. It's about seeing history being made. It's about watching a sport change right before our eyes. And believe me, you don't want to miss what comes next. The WNBA is at a crucial moment. The league has been growing steadily over the years, but what we're seeing with Caitlin Clark could be the spark that leads to big changes. As we get closer to the most important part of the season, with playoffs coming soon and emotions running high, it's clear that the WNBA is changing in a big way. This is a moment in sports history that you don't want to miss. Don't just sit back and watch. Be part of this exciting time in basketball. If you haven't done it yet, mark your calendar for the Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky game. This isn't just another game. It's a key moment for the league. Whether you're cheering for Team Clark, Team Reese, or just love great basketball, this is a game you'll want to see. But why stop there? Get more involved with the WNBA. Follow these rising stars on social media, like and share their content, and help show that women's basketball is worth watching. If you like this look into the WNBA, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're here to give you the best and most fun coverage of women's basketball. And trust us, the future looks exciting. We also want to hear from you. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Are you on Team Clark or Team Reese? Do you think Sheryl Swoopes' silence is the right move, or is she missing something important? Your opinion matters, and we'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.